If your conversations about spirituality always end up in drama, you're probably part of the problem. But after thousands of interactions, I've got two simple ways you can stop the drama before it starts. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. Polarization and tribalism have become basically table stakes for almost every dialogue that you have in the modern world. That's not something that we can help, but a lot of times conversations about spirituality are brought up because people care about each other. They want to share in these sort of deeper parts of each other. Sometimes they are concerned with people's eternal destination, but generally, concern about a friend or family member's eternal destination is because they actually care about you, even though it can come off really hateful and divisive. And that's where you have to start. Every single conversation about spirituality has to lead with empathy. Empathy is this core human skill that's part of becoming just a more emotionally intelligent person. And so when you begin engaging with conversations about spirituality, it needs to begin with this desire to understand and validate the other person's feelings. There's a tool from the world of therapy that can really help as you enter into the conversation. This is from this guy named Carl Rogers. He had this concept, unconditional positive regard, which means that when you enter into this conversation, when you enter into this relationship, you welcome the person without judgment. This is really important because you begin on a positive footing, assuming the best about the other person, assuming that they want something positive, and you don't enter into an us versus them dynamic, and you don't enter into a defensive dynamic. You enter in to the conversation with this positive regard of the other person, welcoming them without judgment. Now, this is just the beginning of empathy. To continue with empathy, obviously, you have to continue this orientation into the rest of the conversation. You have to try to pay attention to the other person's emotions, understand them, understand that those emotions are valid, and with this unconditional positive regard, that those emotions are coming from a good place. So you have to lead with empathy. But the second step, the second trick is that you want to validate the other person's experiences of God. You have to trust that when they report that they've experienced God or the universe or the divine or whatever they call it, that is a valid experience. That even if it doesn't fit into your categories, if it doesn't match your own experience, in order to have this productive conversations, you have to say that, oh, wait a second, I am not the measure for everyone else's spirituality. My experience is not the only one that is valid. I'm going to assume that what you have experienced, what you report as experiencing God or the universe or enlightenment or whatever, that is a valid experience. That is God. And yeah, of course, the other person may not know this. They may not be doing that. And so sometimes it can even be helpful at the very beginning to say, look, I wonder if we could just start this conversation by saying, like, feelings are valid, that we're coming from a positive place. We're going to assume that, and that we can assume that the other person's spirituality and experience of God is valid. A lot of people who really care about each other, if they state those things out loud from the beginning, will say, actually, of course I believe that. And then when one of you violates one of those principles, you can call it out and say, hang on. I think we need to be more empathetic here, or I need to be more empathetic. Or, I realize that I just dismissed your experience of God, and I'm sorry. So I hope that helps.